Hello, Yang. You are up next, sir.
Hey Bart, how's it going?
How's it going? Got a hand for us, Mr. Yang?
I do. This one, we're at MGM National Harbor. We're in the 2-5 game with the mandatory $10 straddle on.
Wow, that's cool. Isn't the 2-5 game a 1K cap?
It is.
When they were playing with mandatory 10? Were people buying deeper or people were just deep?
No, it just began as a normal like a 1K cap, and the straddle started going on, and we just decided to do a mandatory. For what it's worth, this doesn't pertain to this hand. Later, we just all agreed to make it a 5-10 game
Okay.
just to make it timed and no reg. We got the floor over. He was totally cool with it.
Couple things to say about this specific structure. This is why I question you. One of the best games that I played for many years, right before I left LA, this was like in the late 2000 teens, right before COVID, there was a daytime game at Hollywood Park, which was a 5, 10, 20 game, 2,500 cap. It was one of the best games out there because of the fact that the cap was there. And it made a lot of the good players who were whatever egotistical or what, some of the Euros, plus Hollywood Park didn't have like an app system. They didn't have, it was just this kind of there was a lot of shenanigans over there. But it made a lot of those really good players never come over there because it wasn't uncapped. What was interesting is it was like a 100 BB game, but just big. And that's kind of what it sort of reminds me when you're playing 2-5-10 with a 1K cap. It's almost like playing 5-10, 1K cap. The only thing is that you're actually shallower than a 100 big blind setup. And what I mean by that is that the SPR going post flop is going to be on average much shallower than what we think of a 100 BB game on paper because of the multi-way nature of live poker and the larger open sizes. So, but what a great game. It's like if you could play this game, I feel like I could teach somebody who doesn't know that much about poker, like maybe is pretty green, like a beginner. I feel like I could teach somebody to beat a game like a structure like this, just a straight 100 big blind live structure for quite a bit, really, really quickly, just because it's very showdown oriented. It's a lot of just playing good hands, playing position, being somewhat nitty, but it's not rocket science to play shallower than 100 BBs in a live cash game. So that's my diatribe on that.
I agree with that. It feels like a small 5-10 to me. It feels like a 5-10 where everybody's like a recreational short stacker. That's what it feels like. It's just some strange middle ground between 2-5 and 5-10, and it just kind of hit the spot for me. But in this one, the hijack is the main villain. He's 1800 effective. He opens to 30, and this is already the first reason I called in. The cutoff flat calls off a $100 starting stack.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get some of this bullshit in here too. Yeah.
yeah. It's incredible. So this
Oh.
this lady had been reloading over and over for $300 at a time,
Mm.
which in a was it in a 2-5-10 that's kind of nuts, right? So she flat calls.
Mm.
She's the cutoff. We're on the button with King of Hearts and Queen of Hearts,
Okay.
and I see this as a mandatory raise.
Absolutely, because any type of hand, I mean, not only are you getting an overlay, but any hand that's going to be decent from this lady is going to be shoving, right? So, I mean, and also too, it's such an easy little spot because you just three bet there. The hijack has to play pretty straightforward, like
Right.
because I mean, I suppose you could throw in like a four bet bluff that would look strong, but it's just like it seems like you're going to try to get it in with the cutoff, which is quite easy to do. But yeah, this is a mandatory three bet here.
Certainly. I need help here with my sizing. I made it 125, and I'd like to hear some thoughts on that sizing.
I think that's fine. I mean, you guys aren't really super deep at 5'10", 1800. And, the cutoff's going to become somewhat irrelevant here. If she calls off for her stack or whatever, it's still going to be heads up, but that's fine. I mean, you could even make a case for going, a little bit smaller. I mean, the funny thing is if you're deeper, you want to actually put more money in position. This one's like a little bit in between, but okay. So you go to 125.
125. The blinds in the straddle folds. The main villain, he flat calls for 95 more, and the cutoff lady, she's all in for 70 more. So we have a main pot of 315 ish, and a side pot of 50, which is not something I play a lot in cash.
So 315 in the main, 50 on the side. I appreciate you doing the math for us there really quickly, but okay. It's king, queen of hearts. Okay. Yep.
King, queen, hearts.
Yep.
We see a 10 of hearts, 9 of hearts, 7 of hearts.
Wow. You flop it. You flop the flush, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Furthermore, I think main villain has a lot of pocket pairs that like fleck all the 3-bets, so 10s, 9s, 7s. It's a dream spot for me. So he checks, and I kind of just regard the pot as the pot. I'm not really divvying up side pot, main pot, or bothering with that. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought it wasn't worth, scrutinizing the math and everything.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You can look at it as 365. Yeah.
Cool. So I bet 200 and get a call. What would you bet here?
Well, so this is one where I'm not. This is one, like I said, I'll readily admit I don't run sims like day in and day out, 24/7, and know off the top of my head in a setup like this how often or how much you are always supposed to bet on a monotone board that's connected like this in a 3-bet pot. Obviously, monotone boards are different. I'm talking about from an optimal sense. Monotone boards are different textures, right? Like you can have deuce 4-8 monotone, and then you can have like 10-9-8 monotone. This is like 10-9-7 monotone. I would just say that I would definitely bet. And I don't know. I think there's probably hands that you can bet 2/3. There's probably not many of them, but this might be one of them if you have a 2/3 sizing. So I might go a little bit larger here. It's not like a 10. If he's calling with only suited hands, okay? He's not calling with like Jack 10 offsuit, and maybe some offsuit aces once in a great while. You hope he has the ace of hearts. It's not like those hands are going to fold. Like, I don't think he's folding like Jack 10 suited, Queen 10 suited if you go 2/3 here versus going 200. It's possible because of monotone, but I still think that they call once. So on these types of boards, I like to get my value as early as possible before sort of scary things start to come. So I probably would have gone maybe, like I said, 2/3. If you look at it, maybe it's pretty close, right? 240 is 2/3, something like that.
Yeah, that's what they're go almost 2/3. Did you ever pot here?
I don't know if I pot here because like I said, I start to think that if you start going crazy large, you might get some of these hands to fold out that you don't want to fold out, like a 10 without a heart in it or something like that,
Okay, so we get a flat call, making the main pot, the total pot 760.
Yeah, that's what we're just going to deal with. 760. Okay. Yeah.
760. The turn is the 8 of diamonds.
So it puts a one-liner now out there to a jack, which is quite interesting because if your opponent checks again, which I assume he's going to do, you are checking back a lot here with like a lot of hands.
Really?
Well, I'm trying to think about, no, I'm not saying your hand in general. I'm just trying to think about like an overall sort of balanced approach, which you don't necessarily have to play. I'm just saying that it does look kind of interesting if he checks and you bet again here, because I figure like you're really checking back a lot of over pairs. Although if you had jacks, you might bet that again. And maybe you bet the ace of hearts again. So you could balance this where you're just betting like jacks and made flushes with maybe like the ace of hearts and some other bluffs or something like that. So I was just kind of thinking out loud here. But when it runs into like a one-liner and a 3-bet pot in the monotone board, obviously you're gonna be checking back a lot of over pairs. So it's interesting when you actually have a really thick value hand how you do. Did he check to you?
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. No, he did not check. He went all in for 1,500.
Oh my God! Snap. Are you serious?
For what it's worth, he snap all in too.
So he snap all ins on an 8. So the hijack snap all ins. This is great. I'm 100% calling here with any flush. 100% calling here with any flush. And and to be honest with you, if I had a set here that has obviously equity to improve to somehow if he had a straight, I think I probably still call here with the set. I mean, I know it's 2 to 1. I mean, I know he's betting 2x the size of the pot. And it's kind of treacherous, like when you get down to like having like 10-9 here, because again, if you did have a straight, you don't have much equity, but a set, I still think you have the best hand here a ton anyways, probably. It's just such a bizarre thing with the set. He is betting 2x the size of the pot though. But I mean, with king, queen of hearts, I mean, it's just absolute no brainer.
Yeah, well, hearing you say you'd snap kind of makes me feel silly because I did not snap. I kind of went into the tank just because this line is like so bizarre. And another reason I called in is I I know like we regards hands in a vacuum, but one hand prior he called four bet pre-flop, 1700 ish over like a 30 raise at a 125 three bet 1700, took it down and showed the table aces. Uh, so I see this player as, I have the best hand. I want to get it in. I'm more interested in scooping than, getting value. So whether it should have or not, like that just kind of like stayed in my head. And I was like, does he ever have it here? If we like,
I mean, if he has it, I mean, you've got the king and the queen of hearts. So what does he have? He'd have to have flopped it, right? And then when you picture like flopping like the nut flush, like say he had ace six of hearts, ace eight of hearts, something he defended with, ace jack of hearts. Why on earth would you ever play the nut flush this way, where you're check calling as a slow play, and then when a scary card comes out for an overpair, just upfront jam 2x on a one liner to a straight? It makes absolutely no sense. I do want to bring a couple comments in here that I find interesting. T. Krupta, who's a regular commenter on here, says if I had you would fold the set. He has a jack all day. And Mad Mardigan and John Andretti say ace of hearts, jack X more likely. Now, whether we would or not we would fold the set is debatable, but I actually don't think ace of hearts, jack X is all that likely. Again, unless the guy is just totally clueless, because if you had ace jack off, first of all, if you're calling the 3-bet number one pre, so a lot of people might fold that out. But if you were the opponent with ace of hearts, jack X, why would you ever play the hand this way? Like you made a straight net, so you check call here with the nut flush draw, one card stiff, ace of hearts. You make a straight. Why would he upfront jam? What is he trying to protect against? What's the point? It's almost like a way ahead, way behind situation where maybe sometimes like he gets a free roll against the jack or convinces somebody, to call with a set, but that doesn't make any sense to me either. So I think it would be close with a set, but I hope you called here, Young.
yeah, I did, but I gotta, so while I'm thinking, he tables the ace of hearts and the jack of spades, almost doing the call for me. So I
What do you
snap
what
it
do you mean
off.
what do you mean he tabled the ace of hearts, jack of spades?
He physically tables his hand. I ask, I'm a little taken aback. I take a second, and like, of course, I snap call, but it was just so bizarre. Like I was like, what's happening? Or are you like, we're not at showdown?
Wait a minute. He went all in from up front, and before you did anything, he tabled both cards.
He tabled the ace of hearts first,
Uh-huh.
as I was taking, and after I took a bit longer, he tabled the jack of spades, as if to kind of tell me like, I got this one, buddy.
Why
Just
would
let me
he do
screw.
that? So I don't understand what this guy's doing. Why you? The table must have called you the biggest nit roller in the world when you called here, Young. Did anybody give you a weird look or
No,
anything?
no, no.
You should be shamed.
Well, that's the reason I called in, right?
Well,
No,
so
no.
I thought you were going to say he just tabled the ace of hearts. It doesn't matter. He can table the ace of hearts. You're still going to obviously call, right? The only thing with him tabling the ace of hearts, again, maybe once in a while, Actually, I don't know if it necessarily makes me still want to fold the set. I know I just said to the chat, these guys who said ace jack off, and I said it didn't make any sense. It still doesn't make any sense to me. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense that he's tabling his hand to you. But what I'm saying is you should be shamed for nit rolling. I would have been like, what are you waiting for, Young? What are you waiting for, buddy?
Yeah, well, I called and held. I thought it was just a bizarre hand, and now, thanks for the perspective. I realized I was kind of nitty to even just take anything longer than like 3 seconds, but there you go.
Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Bart. Bye.
All right.